Thank you. Michael Brady, would you come forward? And Robin Connor, you are on deck.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, sir.
Please state your name and address.
Thank you. My name is Michael Brady. I live at 506 Rainbow Lake Road in Boiling Springs. I have 3 meters that I take care of. One is my mother's, one is my personal, and one is my very small business. Right now I'm paying more than I've ever paid for a mortgage in my life. My average bills are about $1,100 a month for those 3 meters. And now we're talking about a $336 a year increase just to be able to turn your light switch on. Most people in this room probably can't afford that. Some people might be able to. You know, as I said, I take care of my mother. I'm on Social Security at this point. I have a small business, and it is just impossible to think that we have these kind of bills in front of us. It was in 2017, I believe it was, that I started fighting the smart meter installments. It took about a year, and we disagree totally with the smart meters because they put out electromagnetic frequencies and microwaves. Well, anybody with any common sense understands that microwaves basically cook things from the inside out, and that's what's happening to our children. I know a number of people, a lot of prominent people in South Carolina that have had issues, health issues, with these new meters. So I opted out. I put an opt-out meter in my mother's home, my home, and my business, and I paid $150 for each meter to do that. And then on top of that, I pay an additional $11 a month for each meter to have them come out and read the meter. And now I understand that the smart meter is even more dangerous. I mean, the opt-out meters are more dangerous than the smart meters. So I'm asking this commission to take a step back, not to pass this, not to agree with this. And as a matter of fact, I would ask you to take a look at decreasing our bills as they are now. Thank you.
Commissioners, questions? Thank you, sir.
Robin Connor, if you would come forward, please. And Alicia McKenzie, you're on deck.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Robin Connor. I live at 4729 Warden Drive in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And I have a real issue with this. I take care of my mother. She's 74 years old. I work full-time. She's home all the time. We have power outages. I can't do nothing to get to her. She has to sit there, and sometimes it's days when our power's out. I went and I tried to be more efficient because when we moved into this home, we found out it wasn't a very efficient home. I didn't like that power bill, so I went and I got solar panels to reduce my power bill. Now you're telling me because of that, you're going to increase my rates? That's not right.
Thank you, Ms. Connor. Any questions from the parties? Commissioners? Commissioner Williams?
You're the second or third person that has mentioned power outages.
Yes.
Could you tell me a little bit more about the service and reliability issues?
Well, we had the tornado come through. We were without power for over 2 days. We called in repeatedly. We were told, oh, it'd be a couple hours. Then we do messages. Oh, it's going to be about 12 hours. Oh, it's going to be 24 hours. And it took over 2 days when the tornado came through the neighborhood. When we have ice storms, it goes down, and it's the same thing. It's not reliable. We went out and we bought a generator just so that we could at least have a light and charge our phones so we could get updates, make calls in case something happened with my mother.
So you have a generator and solar panels?
Yes. Yes. And now I'm being told I spend this money to improve the efficiency of my home and to make it more reliable, but now I'm going to have to pay the cost of a price increase. I can't understand how that math works. You know, I'm doing everything I can, and I'm paying for my solar panels every month, $30,000 to cut my bill in half. and now you're going to increase it. So now everything they said about the solar panels, oh, it's going to cut your bill in half and you're going to save all this money and you can use that to pay for your solar panels. It's not going to do me a bit of good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Whitfield. Thank you, Ms. Scott.
Ms. Connor, I want to follow up with you with a couple of questions. You partially answered one of them about the solar panels. It sounds like you mentioned the price of $30,000. So what you're telling me is you bought the solar panels. You're not leasing them.
Correct.
And
Because I planned on being in this home long term, and I wanted to do the right thing and make my home more efficient and to be able to feed power back to Duke Power when I wasn't using it to help other people out. And yeah, I had them paid for. They were installed shortly after we moved into the home. And it did. It cut my power bill probably in half for the winter months. I went from about $350 down to about $150 a month. But then the balance of that goes and pays for my solar panels.
well, you just answered my next question. A lot of times we like to know from a ratepayer exactly what they're paying. So you shared with me, you went from $350
Down to about
If
$150.
you don't mind me asking, how much do you pay for your solar panel? What's your payment on that?
My payment, I pay right now $265 a month.
For the solar panel?
Yes, sir. On top of my electric bill.
Prior to the solar panels, you had been averaging around $350.
Yes.
And could you share with me, if you know off the top of your head, how long that average was? Was that?
Oh, it wasn't very long. After about 3 months of that, of moving into the house and having that in January, February, and March, I figured summertime was going to be even worse because we have a wood burning stove, and our power bills were still that high. So I figured summer was going to be worse with the cooling, so I did everything I could and got the solar panels installed as quickly as possible.
So you only got about three months or so at $350.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, of this witness.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Howard?
Ms. Conlon, I would suggest you would talk to Representative Duke or ORS. I mean, something doesn't seem right with your bill. I mean, I would check with the company and while you're here and see if you can get some definitive answers and see if they got any suggestions for you while they're here.
Okay.
Please do that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Alicia McKenzie, if you would come forward, please, and Kathleen Wright, you are on deck.
Good evening, ma'am. Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name and address.
My name is Alicia McKenzie. I live at 473 Weber Road in Spartanburg, South Carolina, 29307. Like the lady before me, my husband and I also put solar panels on our house. We finally have them paid off. It was a $30,000 bill. And Duke Energy encouraged us to do this and then fought us the entire way through the process. We were actually the first people, we were told, in South Carolina to install solar panels on our house by Duke Energy and the installers. We were told that. And it did cut our bill drastically. But every time we try to get Duke Energy out to the house to do something, because before the solar panels, every time our AC kicked on at the same time as our pool pump, our power would kick off. Everything would kick off. So my husband did some work because Duke Energy won't respond. And we installed solar panels, and we can now have AC and our pool pump running at the same time. And then I hear about the rate increase, of which it is going to affect mainly those that conserve energy by turning off every light in their house anytime they're not there, by making sure to turn their AC in the summer up to 75, 78 degrees so that it's not running. That leaves it so that they're not using it in the summer and are burning wood all summer. We go and cut down trees so we don't have to use Duke Energy. And then they're going to increase our rates because we decided, hey, we're going to find other ways to survive. And it's not doing any good. All they want is more money. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McKenzie. Parties, any questions? Commissioners? Thank you, ma'am.
Brandon, you come forward, and Sydney Bruner.
Do you affirm the testimony you about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Kathleen Wright. I live at 512 Shoreline Boulevard, Boiling Springs, South Carolina, 29316. I don't agree with the rate increase either, but on the positive note, as a property manager, your customer service at Duke Energy, they're excellent. Streamline online to do. I have multiple properties that I put electricity on, so that part is positive. The negative is, of course, the basic facilities charge. I think that gentleman was referring to is a secret charge, and the rate increase. So that's twofold that I'm against. And a lot of my tenants, as one gentleman said, they works 2 and 3 jobs just to survive. And, sometimes their electric bill is almost as much as their rent. And sometimes they can't pay the rent because they have to pay the bill. And I struggle as a property manager making the decision. Am I going to evict them because they can't pay the rent? And they're, with the high electric bills. I understand that there's cost of living fees and everything. My husband's cost of living fee this year was 2%. I mean, that's like not even worth the paperwork, but it helps a little bit. So a 12% increase is pretty high, and then the basic facility charge is also pretty high, which I think is astronomical for this state, which is the income is not as good as North Carolina, some of the other surrounding Georgia, and we're paying higher rates. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Wright. Parties, any questions? Commissioners? Thank you very much.
Sydney Bruner, please come forward, and Christy Chanel, please, you're on deck.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole, raise your hand. Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
State your name and address.
My name is Sydney Bruner. I live at 1101 Roper Mountain Road in Greenville, South Carolina. I'm here today because I actually work for Spartanburg County, so pretty convenient as far as location goes. I moved here from Colorado in June. In my years in Colorado, I survived many record-breaking storms. Snow, hail, ice, everything you can name. And I lost power 0 times. I was out of power for 0 minutes in my decade living in Colorado. So you can believe it when I moved here. I was amazed at how poorly Duke treats its people, at how poorly Duke treats its customers. I work for the addressing department here in Spartanburg County. And I have people at least once a week calling me in tears because Duke has denied their application to turn on their power for just simply saying that the address does not exist. Their customer service is poor. Their maintenance is poor. In my, I've lived here since June. I've been out of power 8 days. 8 days I have been out of power, completely out of power. That is incredible. I don't know if y'all need to just call up Colorado and see what they're doing, right? Because I can tell you right now, they're doing something that Duke is failing to do. They can afford to pay all these people millions of dollars. They can afford these fines for cybersecurity violations and clean water violations and all sorts of violations. When is their management going to be held accountable? Why are we the only ones being held accountable? There's a lot of reasons not to move to South Carolina. There are many. Power should not be one of them. It should be a basic right. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Bruner. Parties, any questions?
Ms. Bruner, have you reached out with these outages? Have you called the Office of Regulatory Staff?
No, I've only called Duke.
Okay. Well, I would just like to point out Brad Kirby is outside. He'd be happy to talk to you and answer any questions you might have.
Okay.
Hang on. Commissioner Bell.
Good evening, Ms. Burns. Could you tell me about the power outages when you were out for 8 days? Was it one outage or was it more than one outage? And
It was more than one outage. The biggest outage I had was with the snowstorm that came, and I was out for 3.5 days. Besides that, it's usually half a day to a full day.
And do you know have you been given any reasons for those outages?
I've been 2 times. It was because someone hit a car, like they drove their car into a power pole, or there was like an accident where they hit some sort of pole. Besides that, I've been given no reason and no expected time of power to be back on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Commissioner Irvin.
What department did you say you work in at Spartanburg County?
The addressing GIS department.
Okay, and so you have people calling you that they can't get their power cut on because they have no street address?
Yeah, but the address exists, and many times the address has existed for 5 to 10 years, but Duke has denied their application to turn on their power. So then I take my time and the county's money to fight with Duke.
And so you called Duke?
Yeah, I called Duke.
What did they say when you called?
Usually it's, I wait on hold for about a half hour. Typically we fax them, and if that doesn't work, I'll call and follow up. But they just say that the address doesn't exist. And then I say the address does exist, we've assigned the address, and it's just a back and forth that shouldn't ever have to happen. I'll give parcel numbers, and I'll give subdivision names, and I'll give customer names. I can even give past customer names. And it's just...
Do you keep a logbook of who makes these calls, who they are, and when they come in, that type of thing?
No, because we deal with the public every day as far as addressing goes, and it's kind of who answers the door, who answers the phone. And unfortunately, fighting with Duke has become more and more in our job description.
Would you be willing to keep a list and make
Yeah.
it available to the Office of Regulatory staff so that they can investigate it? Because that doesn't seem fair to me. If they have an assigned address from the county, they should be allowed hookup.
Yeah.
So the best way to prevent that is to keep a list of the callers, their addresses, their phone numbers, and turn it over to the Office of Regulatory staff, and she'll give you her contact information, and they'll investigate it. But you need a list. We have to have something in order for them to look into it. We need documentation. So
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
To help out.
Our office can definitely do that.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Thank you, Ms. Brennan.
Chanel or Chanel, and come forward, please. And it looks like Heather Soto.
I'm Kirsty Schinkel. I'm at 172 Delwood Drive in Spartanburg. And I will add, as my in-laws are elderly, and they regularly lose power as well. It's an ongoing thing with them. They were unable to be here this evening because they are both elderly, and my mother-in-law has health issues. She can't drive at night, and my father-in-law cannot drive at night either. So they gave me permission to testify on their behalf, if that helps. My concern, I have a couple of them. One, I am looking at my Duke Power here, my Duke Power bill, and there's already a fee here for a fixed monthly LEAP 50C charge. That fee was added probably 1 to 2 years ago, and to this day I'm not sure exactly why it is there. I feel like Duke Power, I'm being feed and taxed basically to death, and there is because Duke Power is the only player in town, basically they say, here's what we're going to charge you, and I have very little recourse. I am also concerned because I know there was a nuclear power plant further down in the Low Country that failed, and I believe that the SCE and G customers are now going to have to pay for that. There's a nuclear power plant, I believe that's in Gaffney or is being proposed for Gaffney. And my concern is that if that fails, I will be on the hook for that as well. I'm not sure why I, as a basically an electric, I have to pay this whether I want to or not, and the recourse that's available to me is limited, and I haven't seen, and it may be that I'm not well informed enough. I'm not sure why this rate increase is necessary. As has been mentioned before, the CEO is making lots of money. Duke Power is making lots of money, and I am not sure why I have to supplement that. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
There may be people, there are people from the company and from ORS who can go over your bill with you and help you figure out what those charges are.
Okay. Yeah. Either way, it's a charge that's been added, and I don't have any say as to whether or not I can negotiate it. It's a fee that was added. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
No problem. Mr. Nicole, I was going to ask your in-laws, you said they regularly lose power. This is storm related? This is just all the time? Can you explain that just a little bit?
It's storm related, and it's also due to where they are. They're on a street that has a power line nearby, and somebody regularly runs into the power pole, and we will call them and they will say our electricity is out, or they will call us and say, hey, is your electricity out? And when we say no, they say, oh, somebody must have hit the power pole again.
Okay, well, thank you. And I was also going to just echo Mr. Ellerby that we have staff here and outside if you want to talk to them.
Okay, thank you.
Any other commissioner questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Soto, will you come forward, please? And if Casey reads, you're on deck.
Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
I'm Heather Soto, and I live at 889 WO Zell Boulevard, 29301. And first of all, I just want to say thank you for letting the people who are directly affected be a part of this conversation. Also, I want to start off by saying Duke Energy CEO, some of the sentiments I'm going to say have been, I'm echoing them, some have already been said. But Duke CEO made $21.4 million last year, an increase of 55% from the year before, and her highest ever as chief executive. These hikes will directly affect and hurt our elderly, our disabled, our veterans, and our low-income residents the most. According to the Policy Analysis Group, EQ Research, this proposed fee hike will be the highest in the nation among publicly traded power companies. Another study by Move.org found that South Carolinians pay an average of $473 a month on utilities, ranking the state at number 7 of the most expensive utilities in the United States. And for the most, electricity is the most expensive bill. Not only is the rate high, it's extremely high in relation to the salaries for the state. I myself graduated from USC with my undergrad and my graduate. I work 3 jobs, and I can barely afford to heat my home. We use space heaters, so we don't have to heat the entire thing. And I just want to say that all of you are tasked to be the voice for this community, and the community has spoken, and please do not raise our rates.